there won't be as much frustration. There won't be as much disappointment. There won't be as much anger if you attack it in that mindset as there would be if you constantly try to compare you and all that you have in your life to other people that are out there. Attached to that, again, 1A and 1B, would be the concept of enjoying the journey. A lot of times, again, I'm all about goals. I believe in goals. I believe in setting goals. I believe in working hard and having strategy to accomplish goals. But if all we ever worry about is the destination, you're going to miss so much along the way. You're going to miss so much. So many joys, so many little joys, so many little lessons will be missed if you're constantly just lasered in on some target that you're shooting for. Again, I'm not opposed to having the target. You need to have it. But every day when you get up, make sure that the journey toward that target is a part of your day and to embrace it. There's that old funny saying that I climbed the ladder of success, and when I got to the top, I found out it was up against the wrong wall. So that whole journey, if you weren't attuned to it, may have been a waste if all you were focused on was what was at the top of the ladder. Don't be afraid to climb the ladder. Don't be afraid to set the goals. But every morning, as you roll out of bed, almost pause before you step onto the floor and just embrace the day. I'm going to make the most of this day. And I'm going to try to be the best version of myself that I can be. My second comment would be this. I'd encourage you, as much as you can, to try to see the eyes of the world through what's called spiritual vision. And I read this recently, and it says spiritual vision is the capacity to see what God wants us to do and to see the world from His point of view. To try and see what God wants us to do and to see the world from His point of view. There is a worldly vision out there. And it's not all bad. I'm not a naysayer. I'm not a pessimist. There are a lot of good people, a lot of great books to read, a lot of good companies to work for, a lot of great things in life to enjoy. But obviously, I don't have to tell you that the world also contains all kinds of vices in it as well. There's evil awaiting every corner if you want. There are messages that are not in sync with a godly spiritual vision. Really, anytime you take the world's vision because it has the human element, there's going to be sin out there. I'm simply asking you to almost have a fictitious pair of spiritual glasses. And as consistently as you can, put the spiritual glasses on. And continue to try and look through that lens of what is God? What's the world according to God? What's He asking me to do in this world? What's the vision through God's eyes for me? Again, if you can use spiritual vision, and if you can be consistent about pulling out your spiritual glasses, I can't guarantee you, there's no guarantee you're not going to have troubles in life, and heartbreak, and disappointment. That's the human element. But I can assure you this, if you don't pull out those spiritual glasses, and you don't make an attempt to hear the voice of the Good Shepherd, and you don't make an attempt to see things in a spiritual way, there's not going to be much joy to balance the heartache and disappointment that's going to be in life. What would be a presentation this year without some type of comment from our namesake, Blessed Pope John XXIII? I appreciate all your patience over the last year or two as we continue to try and bring his life and his legacy into our school. But I really thought you would enjoy this one. Blessed Pope John was a prolific writer. Obviously lived in the time and days where there wasn't the internet, they didn't have text messaging, they didn't have cell phones. They were pretty isolated, quite frankly. So writing letters was probably the primary means of communication. And Blessed Pope John XXIII was a prolific writer. Not just, scholarly pieces as pope or cardinal or bishop, but a lot of times to his family, who he deeply missed. And so, almost 50, 60 years ago, it was on May the 7th, 1952, he wrote a letter to his niece, Jessipina. And again, I just thought there's some irony in here if you listen to it. In a letter to his niece, he says, "As long as our will is firm and the love of Jesus is in our hearts, with the desire to seek and follow that divine will in all things rather than our own, we will never have to fear anything, not even storms." His last line, "The sun is always shining, even when hidden from us by the clouds." So I guess the spirit of the sun always shining in the halls of Roncalli was certainly nothing coined by me or anyone else. Blessed Pope John had that for us in his words almost 60 years ago. The sun is always shining, even when it's hidden behind the clouds. I'd like to wrap up again by simply asking you, please don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't bring so much disappointment to your life by comparing yourself to others. Always be cognizant of comparing yourself to the best version of yourself you can be. And that's where you put your energy. That's where you put your enthusiasm, in being the best version of yourself that you can be. Try to make sure that each and every morning you get up with the intent to enjoy the journey. There will be goals to get to, goals to attain, but enjoy the journey. Try to put on your spiritual glasses as consistently as you can. Try to see the world in a spiritual way as God would have you to see it. On behalf of everyone in this gym that loves you deeply, on behalf of all those that are not here today, both living and deceased, that love you deeply, let me say on behalf of all of them, well done, our good and faithful rebels, and God bless always the class of 2011.